Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Nearly 13,000 feet beneath the North Atlantic, the wreck of the Titanic lies in crushing darkness. On June 18, 2023, this site became a tomb for 5 more people. The Titan, an experimental submersible operated by OceanGate Expeditions, vanished during a tourist dive. The world watched a frantic search unfold, only for it to end with the grim discovery of a debris field on the ocean floor. The submersible had suffered a catastrophic implosion, instantly killing all 5 souls aboard. OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, adventurer Hamish Harding, Titanic expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and businessman Shahzada Dawood with his 19-year-old son, Suleiman. This was not a simple accident. It was the predictable result of controversial engineering, a deliberate rejection of safety standards, and a series of warnings that were tragically ignored. This is the engineering autopsy of the Titan. At the heart of the catastrophe was the submersible's radical and deeply flawed design. Most deep-diving subs use a spherical pressure hull made entirely of metal, usually titanium. A sphere is the perfect shape to evenly distribute the immense, crushing pressure of the deep sea. The Titan, however, was different. Its passenger compartment was a cylinder, 5 inches thick, made of filament wound carbon fiber. This tube was capped at each end by titanium domes, bonded together with a thick adhesive. CEO Stockton Rush chose this design to make the vessel lighter and able to carry 5 people, more than the typical 3-person spherical sub. But this innovation came at a fatal cost. The design had several critical flaws. First, a cylinder is inherently weaker under uniform external pressure than a sphere. The forces at the Titanic's depth, around 500 pounds per square inch, would concentrate stress on the middle of the hull instead of distributing it evenly. Second, the choice of carbon fiber was a gamble. While incredibly strong when pulled, its behavior under the colossal, compressive forces of the deep ocean is not well understood. Unlike metals, which can bend or deform under stress to give a warning of impending failure, carbon fiber is brittle. It can fail suddenly and completely, without any warning at all. Finally, joining 2 different materials, carbon fiber and titanium, created a critical weak point. These materials react differently to changes in pressure and temperature, creating immense shear stress at the bond line with every single dive. The design wasn't just questioned after the fact. Experts were sounding the alarm years before the disaster. In 2019, OceanGate publicly defended its decision not to have the Titan certified by a third-party agency like the American Bureau of Shipping. The company claimed the standard process was too slow and hindered what it called rapid innovation. Stockton Rush himself showed a disdain for regulation, once stating in an interview, "At some point, safety just is pure waste." This philosophy set OceanGate on a collision course with the entire deep-sea exploration community. In March 2018, the Marine Technology Society, an industry group of ocean engineers, sent a letter to Rush expressing unanimous concern about the Titan. They warned that the company's experimental approach could lead to catastrophic outcomes and criticized OceanGate for falsely marketing that the sub would meet industry safety standards without any intention of actually getting it certified. That same year, OceanGate's own Director of Marine Operations, David Lockridge, became a whistleblower. In an inspection report, he detailed numerous safety issues, including imperfections and visible glue runs on the carbon fiber hull. His biggest concern was the company's refusal to perform non-destructive scans on the hull to check for hidden voids or flaws that could compromise its integrity under pressure. Lockridge also discovered that the acrylic viewport at the front of the sub was only certified to a depth of 300 meters, less than a third of the depth needed to reach the Titanic. When he insisted on more testing and refused to approve manned dives, he was fired. The subsequent investigation by the U.S. Coast Guard and the National Transportation Safety Board confirmed the very fears that Lockridge and others had voiced. The disaster was the end result of a process called cyclic fatigue. Each and every dive to 13,000 feet subjected the Titan's hull to immense, repeated cycles of stress. With every trip, microscopic damage, tiny cracks and delaminations, could form and grow within the carbon fiber, making the material weaker and weaker over time. This slow degradation was made worse by built-in manufacturing flaws. The first full-scale hull was retired in 2020 after showing signs of fatigue after just a few deep dives. The second hull, the one that imploded, was made using what OceanGate claimed was out-of-date carbon fiber purchased at a discount from Boeing, a claim Boeing has no record of. The NTSB's analysis of the recovered debris revealed what it called anomalies within the composite and the adhesive joints, including waviness, wrinkles, porosity, and voids. These manufacturing defects were built-in weak points, prime locations for fatigue to concentrate and for the failure to begin. A significant warning sign was tragically misinterpreted a year before the disaster. During a 2022 dive, the subzone monitoring system and passengers detected a loud acoustic event, a loud bang. OceanGate dismissed it. But post-disaster analysis of sensor data from that very dive showed a permanent and significant change in the hull's stress patterns right after the bang. This indicated a fundamental change in the hull's structural integrity. The Coast Guard concluded that OceanGate failed to investigate this known anomaly. To make matters worse, the sub was stored unprotected outdoors during a Canadian winter, likely causing further damage from freeze-thaw cycles. In place of third-party certification and proper testing, Stockton Rush championed his patented real-time hull health monitoring system. This system used acoustic sensors and strain gauges to listen for the sound of carbon fibers cracking, supposedly giving the pilot enough warning to abort the dive. Rush marketed this as a revolutionary safety feature. However, whistleblower David Lockridge had warned that this system was useless, arguing it would provide only milliseconds of warning before a catastrophic implosion, not nearly enough time to do anything. Experts now agree that relying on this system as the primary defense was a fatal mistake. The Coast Guard's final report noted that the system did in fact generate data after the 2022 incident that should have triggered a full investigation, but OceanGate failed to act on it. On the morning of June 18, 2023, the Titan began its descent. About 1 hour and 45 minutes into the dive, communications went silent. It was later revealed that the U.S. Navy had detected an acoustic signature consistent with an implosion at around that same time. The final moments would have been incomprehensibly fast. When a flaw in the carbon fiber hull, worsened by cyclic fatigue, finally reached its breaking point, the structure failed. The implosion would have happened in milliseconds. The immense external pressure of over 5,000 pounds per square inch caused the hull to collapse inward instantly, shattering the carbon fiber cylinder into countless fragments. For the 5 occupants, death was instantaneous, occurring before their nervous systems could even process that something was wrong. The debris field found 600 feet from the Titanic's bow was the silent confirmation of this catastrophic failure. The U.S. Coast Guard's final report, released in August 2025, labeled the disaster a preventable tragedy. It identified the primary causes as OceanGate's inadequate design, certification, maintenance, and inspection process. The report described a toxic workplace culture where Stockton Rush used intimidation tactics to suppress safety concerns and deliberately misled clients. Investigators stated that had Rush survived, they would have recommended manslaughter charges. The National Transportation Safety Board's separate investigation echoed these findings, concluding that faulty engineering in a pressure vessel with multiple anomalies was the direct cause. The implosion of the Titan is a catastrophic lesson in the dangers of hubris. It was a failure not just of materials, but of a corporate culture that chose to value so-called innovation over proven safety, that broke rules without understanding the consequences, and that ignored the chorus of experts who warned of the exact disaster that came to pass. In the crushing dark of the deep Atlantic, the final verdict was delivered not by a court, but by the unforgiving laws of physics.